Did you believe in Sam's new vision when you heard it?
Yeah, bought in 1,000%.
That's
this is
so
amazing.
funny because my answer is absolutely not. They hired a professional woman for a lot of money to come in and fire us.
Growing up Catholic and then also being a bad liar just says maybe I'm gonna just give you all the information.
I feel that so hard. I grew up Mormon and I feel
Oh, we
I have
gotta
to expose
talk.
myself. You grew up Mormon too?
No, but I love the Mormons.
Hi, I'm Courtney Miller. You might know me from Smosh or some videos on this channel or like some random clips of me slow dancing with Chris Pratt or something. But today, I am joined by Dropout TV's Vic, Ali, and Ify. Can you guys introduce yourselves, please, to the tiny people inside the camera?
Hi, I'm Vic Michaelis.
How's it going? I'm Ify Nwadiwe.
And I'm Vic Michaelis.
Fuck off. Anytime you want to cut something, I want you to cut to Beardsley doing a dab.
Tell me a bit about yourselves, like a fun fact, and how long you've been doing this.
I've been testing positive for COVID for about 3 weeks now.
Is that true? No.
Of course not. Oh my God.
We live in a weird period of time, okay?
It's just so random. Every test is wrong.
My fun fact is that Allie Beardsley keeps calling the COVID vaccine the Fauci ouchie.
The real facts are out there. You just have to look for them from all the moms on Facebook.
Hi, I'm Vic Michaelis. My fun fact is that I love the color green.
Oh my gosh,
that's a good
really?
color.
Yeah, actually my favorite color is orange, but I do like the color green.
It makes it more fun that it's not your favorite, actually.
Yeah. I feel like there's one color I dislike, but I'm not going to say which one.
Whoa, now you have to.
Now you have to.
There is no uglier color in paint than like an eggshell yellow.
Wait, it's so calming to me. It's very Easter. So you hate Christ.
Yeah. Well, now
No.
You always
I
say,
didn't say
glad
that.
he's dead. And then Easter comes around and you're like, no.
Ify, what's your fun fact?
I grew up Catholic.
Hates COVID.
Wait, that is
Yeah,
fun.
yeah,
Is that true?
Yeah.
What kind? Like what flavor?
Whichever one was at Our Lady of Victory in Compton, California. You know
That's
what
a specific flavor.
We must move on, Allie.
Oh, that brings
Allie.
me to our first assumption.
Yes. Okay. They were unsure about the future of Dropout post-college humor.
Ooh, no.
Yeah, I mean, like I'm so curious to hear your guys' answers because I think mine is probably like a little bit different, but also similar. I mean, I think like baseline, yes, I think it was similar. But at the time, you were a cast member.
Totally.
So what was that like?
Well, yeah, I do. I remember when we all got laid off. They hired a professional woman for a lot of money to come in and fire us. And she comes in and she goes, I have 2 piles of papers here. I'm going to read the first pile. If your name is listed, come turn in your laptop. You're fired effective immediately. If you're in the second pile, you still have work to do and you'll be on payroll. I do not get called in the first
Why
thing.
would you
Everybody
do it that way?
leaves.
Why would you do it that way?
Why would you do it that way? Then I don't
I
get
get
called and I'm like, I must have a project. She gets to the end of the second
What
pile.
was the thought that your project possibly could?
I thought maybe they were like, total forgiveness was so good. Let's keep you around. And they got Grant out of there. I thought, I don't know. And then she gets to the end of the second pile and gets to mine and goes, oh no, Allison, you were in the wrong pile.
Oh,
So my name on
God.
Slack is still Allie Wrong Pile Beardsley. But yeah. So we really thought it was all over. Like they were just like, it's over.
Oh man.
Yeah.
Well, what I was saying is like, yeah, I've just seen just the rise and fall of so many like channels like that I was like, oh,
totally.
time. You know, I've been on so many channels that don't
Yeah,
exist no more.
totally.
Because I was always just kind of like, I never quite committed because of that. I feel like I just felt like you just get so invested and you give so much of your time and then sometimes it just poofs. So I just always was like, I'll just focus on like stand up, the acting, the writing, and then I'll just pop in on channel.
But I think also like there's something to, we all got laid off and we were like, our whole world is changing. Oh my gosh. And then COVID happened like 2 months later and everyone on earth had the same feeling. So it's like,
You kept walking around going, now you know what it feels
I would show up
get
to
it
people's
now.
homes maskless. Now you know what it feels like.
Did you believe in Sam's new vision when you heard it?
Whoa.
Yeah, I think that this kind of folds into like what I was doing at that time, which was I got hired to fill in for like the year Dropout launched. I got hired as like a freelancer to fill in on the sketch side of stuff. So at that time, it was like really interesting hearing about what was happening on that side of things and how it was growing. It was like very cool for everything then to be shut down, and then to see especially like D20 and actually like persist and like flourish during this like weird like, how do we do things online? How do we like transition things? And so it was like very easy for me then to get asked to do Make Some Noise and be like, yeah, bought in 1000%. This is
That's
this is
so
amazing.
funny because my answer is absolutely not.
Yeah.
It was like on the heels of like CISO, Quibi, all of these things just like immediately flying like hellbent at the sun and dying. Like I was just like, oh, Sam, that's what you're going to do? But it wasn't clear that he was going to be able to buy the libraries and the rights and everything from our like shitty multi-million-dollar parent company.
Yeah.
It just seemed like, oh, we're gonna try to do this kind of thing that I've watched fail so much, but he had like a better route to it.
The next assumption is they miss the old College Humor sketches.
Ooh.
Sketches to Ed, I hate sketch. No, it's like I genuinely think that like the best version of sketch outside of something that's like really thought through, and like I think College Humor did a great job, but spending like 8 hours on one 3 to 5 minute sketch is like, nobody's happy with the end result once you spent that much time on it, I don't think, typically.
Yeah.
Like I think that like TikTok exists, and there's a bunch of these other platforms where like you can have these grains of ideas and jokes and see what sticks and turn that into something more exciting if it's irreverent, or also just let it exist in like a lower stakes.
Sketch, I think, at its best is when it's like extremely timely, which is why like Maude and stuff at UCB works and Saturday Night Live works, depending on who you ask. You know, Carl Tart, you're great. But you know, like I remember sometimes people ask, like, do you ever think Dropout's going to do a sketch show? I'm like, no, because like if we're doing Moodang sketches, if we shoot a bunch of Moodang sketches and you're watching it in the summer of 2025, you're like, why are you talking about Moodang?
Yes, you
like,
can't do anything topical. The format is too slow.
I can relate huge because Smosh would take 12 hours to film a 4-minute sketch.
Totally.
And like, I loved being able to wear high budget costumes, all these crazy things. But like, we did Terminator and Titanic jokes for like 10 years because like those are the references that everyone knew, right?
Yeah.
Okay, another assumption. Some of them still feel like new cast members, even though they've been around for years.
That's a real interesting one I think I can kind of take because I kind of get what they're saying.
Yeah, please.
Where when I took over for actually, a lot of people were like, well, how does it feel to be, you know, to be working with drama? I was like, me and Trap has a sketch about My Girlfriend Isn't Actually Crazy that is like 10 years old.
Yeah.
But it's like, you know, I think that's another thing, right? Is like from College Humor to Dropout, there's been a whole new audience, and a lot of them are seeing us for the first time there. And I think just us in general, even if a lot of us weren't together in
even if
Dropout,
you're new, you're not
yeah,
new
we
to
were
the scene.
hanging out.
Total.
Like you spent a year in Amsterdam with someone who was there when my daughter was born.
Yeah.
And that's so it's like we're all very connected, and you know, Vic and I we're so close. Even we're getting weird. I've never. I know
you and I are so close.
No.
No, come on. Come on. Look at that. Those are those pale, clammy little hands I love so much.
Okay, assumption number 4. These are not pale, clammy little hands.
I don't think it's assumption.
They're
if I'm
dry as a
holding
bone.
I think it can be hard with how fast the internet moves that people forget about everything that you've done. I can relate to that after 9 years at Smosh.
Yeah.
Sometimes it almost feels like you have to re-audition for your own job.
I think I also just genuinely never think anybody is thinking about me. Like it's like that thing of like, I am always thinking about myself 100% more than anyone else is thinking about me. You know what I mean? Where it's like, and so I think that principle applies here too, where like, I remember getting asked to host VIP and being like, that's crazy. Like, that's insane.
Like, you felt too new to do that?
Yeah.
Oh, interesting.
But also, even though like I've been doing UCP stuff forever, I feel like I'm like just getting past that point of being like, I know I can do it, but like feeling like I have to prove to other people that I can do it, even though I've already been asked to do those things. You know what I mean?
Another assumption, they feel pigeonholed as cast characters.
Oh, okay. I think this speaks for me personally to like parasocial relationships and like maybe expectations that you have like a certain type of joke that you're gonna make. And sometimes I think we play into that because it's fun to make each other do the catchphrase or do the thing that you're known for. It's like super sexual. Brennan's obsessed with birds. Which like couldn't be further from the truth. He's just that like analytical about every topic. Like all the shit he knows about birds, he knows about every other animal. You can feel pigeonholed by that in the kind of like Dropout universe, but I feel it's always fun to just shake it up, and there's like has been room, I feel like, on sets that I've been on to just like go in a totally different direction, actually play super like base reality, like super straight shooting kind of person in a show. Like I don't know, it feels like we can all kind of try on different types.
Yeah, this is something I've been thinking so much about with VIP, because it's like I play like a host character version of myself, and like we have like changed the, it's not really a spoiler, we like changed the title cards this season because like I feel like last season they're not really having a presence on the internet, and now all of a sudden like having a little bit of a presence on the internet, people especially that are just interacting with the clips are assuming things about the character that are also sort of true about me. And that's been a little bit weird. I'm like a fairly private person in my everyday life. And so like people thinking that they're seeing glimpses of me via that versus like watching me play a character.
Yeah, totally.
Is a little dicey.
I just a while ago decided to just be like very just radically myself. I'm kind of almost doing the opposite, where I'm playing close enough to myself. And I think it's because I specifically do like stand up, and I like when I started out and I was doing things on Geek and Sundry, that was an audience that I think, you know, was a very diverse audience, and it was very clear that like you can play like a little like more squeaky clean version of yourself and then, you know, have it gel with everyone, or you can just be the type of person I am, which is like a stand-up comedy who can be raunchy at times, try to be insightful with it at least. And you're kind of pushing away some people who are like, oh, I don't do this, but you're getting a lot of people who's like, I do like that element of this. And because of that, it's like, that there's some cohesion there, because the worst thing I could do is kind of like give you the experience of thinking you're watching, you know, Bob Saget in Full House, and then you go to one of his actual stand-up shows and you're like, what? And there's this like freak out where it's like, now it's like, oh no, this is me. And then I think, yeah, if you want to see the realest version of me, it's probably going to be me on stage doing stand-up. And every time I'm like sitting on the seat when cameras are on, I'm going to like obviously go for the joke, because 90% of the time we're sitting down to do a comedy show, and like it's our job to make you laugh. So I'm going to say the funniest thing and be the funniest version of myself.
The broke comedian / actor bit is real.
No, we're fine. We're fine.
This is how I explain it. If you get home, you know, imagine like the driest plant you've ever seen. It's dead. And you go to water it, that water doesn't just hang out at the top as excess water. That shit has a lot of cracks to fill in from mistakes you made along the way and dental work you still need to get done. And so maybe you're good now, but that water has places to go, and maybe you still need a credit card along the way to help you get there.
Amazing.
I do think there are some kind of like I'm so broke jokes that I think aren't real, and so I have tried to like not like pretend that is totally the case. Like we do have like regular employment from Dropout, so that feels like really secure.
Yeah, I feel like that's like the tide has turned on that in the last like few years, and so it's like it's that weird thing of feeling like you scrounge and scramble for so long, and then it like changes, and then it's like, oh yeah, no, that's not true.
Also another thing that's kind of cool, and I feel like maybe this got pressed, but Dropout is doing so well that they even did like a what was it?
Oh yeah, profit share.
Profit share last
that's
year.
great.
I
So all
like-
the profits that
I
they
don't
had, they
cry,
split
and I
up
like
between
cried
us.
when I got
Yeah,
paid.
that's
That's
just like
amazing.
they're really trying to take care of us,
Yeah.
and so I think the kind of broke jokes. Yeah,
Yeah.
it's not real.
It's not
so
real,
I
yeah.
have been trying to kind of reel that back a little bit.
They are looked down upon by traditional actors for just being, quote, YouTubers.
Oh, Barracuda.
No.
Do you guys consider yourself YouTubers?
I feel like me as the pedantic game show host here. I think that I have a very specific thought in mind when I think of what a quote unquote YouTuber is, right? Because I was there when YouTube was created by a couple of guys. Then they Google tried to do Google Video. It sucked shit.
Wait,
And
sorry,
then
you
on
were
YouTube.
there when
I was
YouTube
there.
was created?
Yeah, I was there. I was in the room. I was like, yo, get rid of the. But yeah, I think I've just been, and for me, I feel like a YouTuber, or in the terms of it.
Wait, I'm sorry, I cannot move on. When were you there?
I wasn't there, but
I just needed clarity. I just needed. I know you never
wouldn't
know
say-
with this guy.
Yeah.
He's on a bender. He's creating YouTube.
Yeah.
He's
No, I just
He's
mean
at
that
Emerald Con.
I remember the inception of YouTube. I remember
yes. Okay, great.
when and
Thank you.
with that, I feel like the idea of a YouTuber is like, I think a singular person who has a channel and like has grown it and does it, like a Markiplier or a PewDiePie. And I think of things that are bigger, like Smosh, like all the cast members, they're actors on this YouTube channel. And it's a stage, and like that is for me the delineation between like a YouTuber and that. To answer the question, the assumption that we're looked down upon, that is just, I think, just not true. Because I'm noticing more and more, like as I go on sets and industry people are like meeting me, like they're knowing me from Dropout things.
I think it's so interesting because really at the end of the day, I mean, like, sorry, I'm back in the pandemic. COVID
You can. I'm
COVID
sorry.
shut down a ton of brick and mortar comedy spaces. It's like, it is just what happened. So now all of a sudden there's like all these people who make a living, or like what used to happen is you'd like go to UCB, you'd be on stage, you'd hope and pray that somebody would be in the audience that his dad was running a multicam that you could play a waiter on. You know what I mean? And then that waiter role would
That's the dream.
translate
That's the dream,
into
baby.
a series regular. Because the waiter was important. And it's like, it like that sort of was the pipeline. And then people would get bit parts, and then that would translate into bigger roles. And that seemed like how a lot of like at least the people that I was looking up to, that's how they were getting work. All of a sudden, theaters shut down, and obviously, like, streaming is happening at the same time. And then you have these places that existed already that are bringing in, like, these improvisers. And now all of a sudden, we have these, like, virtual comedy theaters, essentially, where we're, like, we're getting to perform and do improv. And, like, if 10 years ago, you would have told me that, like, I could actually make money doing improv, and I were to have any other thought about it other than just, like, holy shit, that's incredible. I would like murder myself. You know what I mean? Like, I would throw myself in a trash can.
Yeah.
They feel like they have to share a lot of their personal life on camera.
No.
Yeah, no, I just am a natural overshare. Like that is, I think it's been, I think growing up Catholic and then also being a bad liar just has made me, I'm going to just give you all the information. I'm not going to try it.
I feel that
funny.
so hard. I
Yeah.
grew up Mormon, and I feel like I have
Is that true?
God's eyes on me, and
Oh,
I'm like,
we
I have to
gotta
expose
talk.
myself. You
Yeah.
grew up Mormon too?
No, but I love the Mormons.
Oh, amazing. Continue.
If
Sorry.
there's a stinger before the episode starts, I think it
Don't-
just has to do
don't do
that. And then welcome to Assumptions.
Oh, no. No, I didn't say that. You actually can't prove
Can we
that I said
retcon
that.
an assumption that's like, you all love the Mormons? And that's the response to
I
it.
don't think so. I didn't say that. Actually, you said that, if I remember that correctly. What was the question?
It was about feeling like you have to share a lot of your personal life, because I know that even when you feel like you are having a good sense of control over what you're sharing, sometimes people online can be sort of prying, and like sometimes even when you feel like you've shared enough, it's not.
I genuinely think that people don't actually want to know us. Like, that's not actually something that people are
Like, we're
that
a mirror.
interested in.
Wow, hot take.
Well, because here's what I think is like, they want the version of us that they have built in their mind, or like the character or performer version of us. And I think anything that we give them, any information that's out there that like with that like message, sorry, any, are we allowed to cuss?
You can cuss. You can
This is
extra
for
cuss.
the TV channel.
Studio CE, shout out. Okay, so anyway, don't shout them out actually. Well, you can if you want to. Thank you for having us on here. This is so fun. Any information that I found out that is outside of this like chaos goblin like version of me that people have, I think people are just like, that's not right. Or like Vic doesn't feel like that. And I'm just like, people want to see us on the street and want to see you like take the hot dog out of their hands and throw it on a car. You know what I mean? Like they want to see you do something
Is
like
this a reference?
Yeah.
No, it's just like
this is a
something like
pitch, really. Okay, great.
yeah, I'm pitching it.
I definitely think that's right. And I think it goes back to like that thing that they connect with you on. And I feel like sometimes when it breaks from this idea of you, then that breaks their connection from you and they're kind of fighting to keep it there.
Yeah.
I feel like, the people who connect with me are just a specific brand of like kinky, polyamorous folks. And we're like, and it's very great because, we love consent. So it's very, it's very chill on the Ify Nation side of things.
But it's
the
also
only thing that's not chill is that if we're at a sex party and you're wearing a mask and I introduce myself as Ify, don't give me some like fake name like Romeo. No, you got to give me your real name because you said my real name out loud in this environment.
Folks, don't you hate it when that happens?
Don't you hate it when you're wearing a mask
This may not be relatable.
at
This
a
is just
sex
a PSA. If you say my government, my stage name out loud at a kink event or party, and do not introduce yourself.
I won't
under
do
your
it
kink
again.
name. All right, Saber.
Next assumption, they're frustrated at how parasocial Dropout fans can be.
Okay, so this was interesting with all the like chaperone stuff, and I feel like a lot of people had stuff to say after that of just like how hard parasocial relationships are. I think it's extremely gendered. That's important to talk about. Like all the women at College Humor got really scary stalkers. I had just a really bad time at one point.
I had a guy that was following me around improv shows for a little bit.
It's scary.
It was like weird and hard. And that was like at the beginning. And like, I hasn't been like a huge issue other than just like flooded DMs of people.
Totally.
And, it's like, it's just so weird being like a feminine presenting person online.
Totally.
As I'm sure I can't even imagine on your scale.
And funny enough, I think a lot of that stuff was running very rampant during the pandemic because people were home and online. Like I think cyber stalking was really bad. I've dealt with a lot of that. Everyone's so afraid of upsetting their fans, but it's not the fans that are doing this.
Yeah.
It's people who consider themselves fans, but I don't think are.
Totally. I should say like people, I think on the whole are like fairly respectful.
Yeah.
You're going like this with your eyes. Is that wrong?
No, I'm just saying like, I think so there's a lot of like emphasis in what like Chaperone had said on like people and like their behavior. But I think there's just as much work as someone who's public facing to work on your like boundaries and how you like clearly say that. Because I've been stuck in conversations with people where I never once said I have to go. I just am like letting them bulldoze and being like, well, I can't shoehorn in that I have to leave. And now I'm just like trying to be a little bit more clear. I'm still not perfect, but people also want to be treated like a person. Like they want to know that you have to leave so that they don't feel like an asshole. Like we can kind of like work together, like get through some of this.
That brings me to my next assumption that will probably tie into what you're saying now as well. Fans are always asking them to do something funny in public when they meet them.
Oh God, no.
Has that ever happened to you guys?
That's never happened to me.
That has never
happened
happened to me.
Oh, you meant uncles?
Yeah. I know that is more my family members than fans are just very stoked to just have a conversation.
Yeah,
It was my dad who's like, Ify, for Ingrid's graduation party, we were thinking maybe you go up and do some jokes. It was like, why?
Are you gonna?
Would want that? No!
Are you gonna? Or if you're not gonna do it, can one of us do it?
Y'all can come do a joke. That was
How much are they paying?
Nothing.
Oh.
Nothing. You get as much Nigerian food as you want.
Honestly, I'll take it. That sounds awesome.
Yeah, no one ever does that.
Yeah, no.
You're lucky.
Do people do that
ask
to you?
to do a joke?
Luckily, I don't get asked. I think I just, maybe it's my resting bitch face or something. I seem less approachable, but the amount of times I've seen people actively try to make Shane work.
No.
Or like, I'll be like, are you going to pay this man? Because you're asking him to scream in the middle of Disneyland.
Yeah.
Oh my
Crazy.
god.
Yeah, that's wild.
Never
Just like
have
having
I
a
ever.
character and being like, okay, do it. This is
Yeah,
fun.
luckily there was no phone up yet. So they were asking him to do this one character. And I think we said like, no, like we don't want to cause a scene. And this person almost didn't take no for an answer.
Oh
They were
my
very
God.
nice. I think they just were, wanting to have fun. But it's like, it can be tough, like how to say no and feel.
Yeah.
So I think maybe it's kind of like your brand of comedy can sometimes influence what people are asking you for. Like I would imagine someone
Totally.
like Eric Andre or kind of like a more gotcha,
Oh, yeah.
jackass style like Steve-O.
It is.
It's
Yeah.
probably constantly like someone trying to punch you in the face or something insane. Like, but that's just not what we do necessarily.
Yeah.
This was the top liked comment when we asked in our community tab for assumptions. The top comment was, they make a mean grilled cheese.
Oh.
Is that, who would that assumption be about?
No. I mean, I definitely can make a solid grilled cheese. I like,
I'm trying so hard to remember what this is a reference to, and I don't.
Do you
I
think
don't
it is a
think
reference to
is.
something?
I don't think
You
it
are
is.
actually a very good cook.
I am a good cook, but I'm allergic to bread, so
Yeah,
So,
that's
yeah, I have
true.
a gluten allergy.
I
about to give you some bread too. about to have you over for my bread party.
That's wait, your bread party.
Yeah.
yeah. Are you not coming to the bread party?
I'm gonna wear a mask. I'm gonna say your
I
government
got a
name at the
gas
bread
mask.
party.
Okay. So now we have individual assumptions for each person.
Okay.
Oh no,
We're going to start with Vic. Vic is exhausted by being called vehicular.
never. That was a gift given to me by my best friend Isabella Rowland.
So you'd change your name, like government-wise?
Yeah, I'm going to, and I legitimately would do it to that before leaving it as my government name.
Where did it come from?
Izzy Rowland in an episode of VIP, there was like a joke, and I can't remember exactly what it was, but basically, like I had said, it sounds like you committed vehicular manslaughter, and she goes, I thought that was your name, and so then it just like,
Incredible.
which was a pretty it was brilliant.
It was Brill.
It was stunning. She's stunning. I love her so much.
Ify has a dungeon in his basement or has plans for one if he doesn't already.
Yeah, I don't know. Like, I don't have space for it. I have an apartment right now.
Oh, I hope that for you.
But
I hope you
definitely
buy a place with room for
yeah,
a
you know I'm gonna have a
dungeon.
dungeon, but it's
I mean,
also
dungeon
gonna be
is a state of mind.
yeah,
Really,
yeah.
So.
It's also gonna be where I paint Warhammer minis too.
If you get two dungeonees in a room, actually, technically, any place you are is a dungeon.
Yeah. That's
Little church
true.
joke.
Yeah.
Wow.
Oh, yeah.
Thank you. That was free. Elle.
Allie, we got one for you. Brokeback Mountain is Allie's favorite movie.
Don't
Do you
lie.
know?
Wow.
Do you know
Don't
what-
lie.
Know where this came from?
No, and I don't. No, it's not.
What's your favorite movie?
Me?
Don't
Why?
lie.
Don't lie.
The sequel to Brokeback Mountain.
So we do have a beat.
Hotel Transylvania.
Hotel Transylvania.
I have a list of celebrities here, some that studied and completed college and some that were dropouts. So
Oh,
I am going to
fun.
read these celebrities and you're going to guess whether or not they dropped out. And if you guess correctly, you get a point.
Is it like up down we're doing for like stayed in, dropped out?
Yeah, let's do that. Okay. Thumbs up for stayed in, thumbs down for dropped out. The person who has the most points gets to ask a question or give an assumption to the guest of the next assumptions episode.
Oh, fun.
Nice.
Tiger Woods.
College athlete. I feel that feels good.
Yeah.
Dropout.
Oh.
Well, I was going like this.
They studied
It was-
economics.
Is wait.
Wow.
All right, next person, Rachel Ray. 3, 2, 1. Okay. Dropout.
Ugh.
Literature and communications.
Wow.
Love that.
Next one,
She's
Gerard.
so cool.
Gerard Way. Graduated
Wow.
Fine
Awesome
arts.
for me.
Anthony Padilla. 3, 2, 1. Dropout.
Yeah.
Studied coding?
Coding.
Question mark.
Though I feel like coding is one of those things where if you graduate, you're doing it wrong.
What was your favorite thing that he did?
Anthony?
Yeah.
This channel. This right here.
Okay, next person, Matthew McConaughey. 3, 2, 1.
Oh, I think this is a trick question.
Graduated.
Right. It was a trick question because you graduated. Thought he didn't go to school at all, so it wasn't even that he dropped out, which I thought was what the trick was.
Okay, next person. Oprah Winfrey. 3, 2, 1. Dropout.
I knew it. I even wrote a whole report on her.
Whoa.
Well, I was doing this and I said on opposite day, so I
I did hear that.
Yeah, I whispered it.
They studied
RPG.
speech communications and performing arts. Next person, Steve Madden.
Oh, the football.
That's
football.
John Madden.
Yes, son.
Steve Madden is the shoe.
The shoe
3,
designer.
The shoe.
2, 1.
You only wear Steve Madden.
Only we're Doc Martin.
I wear a lot of Steve Madden, unfortunately. Dropout.
Oh.
Drop out. I think I'm winning.
All right, next person, SZA. 3, 2, 1.
We love SZA.
Dropout.
Wow.
Dropout.
Marine biology.
Oh, I did read
Wait,
this in that Variety
cool.
article where she talked about Ify in Very Important People.
Wait, what?
Did you not see this?
No.
I died.
Yeah, someone was like, SZA was dressed up like Ify and Very Important People. I was like,
And then in a Vulture article, she literally was like, yes, I was dressed up like Ify in Very Important People.
Next celebrity, Meryl Streep. 3,
Oh, sorry.
2,
Sorry,
1.
she went to Yale.
Graduated.
Yeah.
because you just knew that.
She went to Yale.
She's a Yaley.
I am in my favorite show that I've ever done, run by Angela Giratana and Patrick McDonald, called Mamma Mia But Different. And so I now know everything about Mamma Mia and the history and Meryl Streep and ABBA.
Okay, next celebrity, Donald Glover. 3, 2, 1. Graduated.
Yeah.
Went to NYU.
Yeah.
Dramatic
Last
writing.
second I remembered.
Yeah,
Oh,
yeah,
right.
Because that's where.
Because he
Derek
got hired
Connick-
for 30
For
Rock
30 Rock.
before he even graduated.
And I think was living in a dorm at some point and like writing on the show.
That's a better. That's a better like sense of control than me. Because once I started making TV writing money, I'd be like, yeah, I'm out of here.
I
totally.
didn't even have any money, and I said I'm out of here.
Okay. Speaking of money, Bill Gates. 3, 2, 1.
Tech guys love to be like, I dropped out.
Yeah,
Dropout.
yeah, had to be.
I knew that was
Mathematics,
one of the
computer
greatest
science.
stories. Was like he felt like he seen enough or something.
Why do they donate so much money to colleges if their whole thing is that like
to
you're
get their
going
kids
to
into college?
Yeah, to get
Get their kids into college.
But shouldn't they? When you're rich, when you're that rich,
But when you're
don't
like a
save schools
rogue,
for
you're
customers.
like, my kids can't do this. Only I could have done this.
Oh, yeah.
They need all the help they
Parents
can
want
get.
us to do things differently than them.
Yeah, that's
Speaking of
true.
which, Grimes. 3, 2, 1.
She's from Canada.
Dropout.
Oh,
Neuroscience and Russian literature.
that's so Grimes.
Yeah.
That's so
So
good.
Grimes.
Grimes, if you're watching this, slide into the DMs.
Okay.
Me
I
and
love
them
that.
will take you out on a date.
Okay, next person. Travis Kelce. 3, 2, 1.
I feel like they
Had
just...
to have, otherwise how would he play football? Yeah, you got.
Yeah, graduated, technically dropped out in 2012 and came back to graduate in 2022.
Whoa.
Interdisciplinary studies.
That's someone who just went to get it.
Yeah.
Okay, next person. Ty Warner, founder of Beanie Babies. 3, 2, 1. Dropout. Studied drama though.
No.
It's funny that Beanie Babies came out like that. It was after Travis Kelce because his brother's like a bear. Have you seen his brother?
Is that
Like,
why? Is that why the tags say TY?
yeah.
I thought
my
that
God,
was thank
whoa.
you. I thought it was,
Was
like
he
TY. Like,
bad
thank
though?
you.
I feel like I have a bad taste in my mouth for him.
All vibes are like.
Is it because of how much money you
remembering
spent on
something.
Beanie Babies?
Yeah, yeah. I want all my money back.
Final celeb. Lana Del Rey. 3, 2, 1. Graduated. Philosophy
girl.
with an emphasis
Good girl.
on metaphysics.
Okay, that's actually
She
too
married
hot.
that-
I simply need to go.
Games.
She married the alligator guy.
I know, but that has to be for publicity because she's gonna marry me.
Yeah,
All right.
that's what I'm saying. I was like, I just know. You know how sometimes you see someone who's like, I know the vibes would just hit off. Like,
Yeah.
Yeah, I actually could see you two being very happy together.
I think so.
That or like.
Yeah, I feel like that's very funny to have a crush on someone that big. I feel like every lesbian I've ever known before they come out, they're like, I just love Brad Pitt.
All right, we have our winner.
Come on, don't let this change us.
Guys, your winner is Ify.
Oh my
Yes.
god!
Congratulations.
And you get to
Wow.
give an assumption to the next YouTube guest, and also maybe a DM from Grimes. Who knows?
Or
No.
Chapel Run.
Or Chapel Run.
I think Grimes is gonna be I do think she'll reach out.
Yeah, like, and the great thing too is like about being polyamorous is like if you're not into me, you can hit up M and
Yeah,
I'll just be happy.
There's some options.
I'll be sitting drinking coffee like hell yeah.
Yeah.
Okay. So Ify, what would you like to ask / assume about YouTube animators?
Ooh, that they all have a little horny little drawing that they like.
Why did I know you were
That's
gonna say that?
That's a really good one.
Yeah, like you do a little secret horny draw.
My assumption is that, and I know I didn't win.
You
so-
didn't win.
but that they all turn a blind eye to Walt Disney's past.
Oh my god. We must.
Yeah,
We
I think
must
that's.
ask
I think
that.
can we make it that? Can we make mine that?
Now keep the horny
No,
as well.
no. So
Do you consider
Yeah.
yourself an angel of death? I consider myself an angel of death for network television.
I mean, I wouldn't.
I was on so many shows where I was on their second to last episode where like
Wait.
they found out they were getting canceled during the airing of my episode.
And you're like
or
a guest
something.
star. You're there with like pom poms and like
I'm like
you're
running
like a
into the gas
mascot's uniform,
station.
and you're like, "Thanks for having me."
Yeah, like where I've been told like, hey, next season if we get picked up, there's a potential that you could like come
Yeah.
back, and then people see my episode and they're
Wow.
like, maybe we just canceled the whole
Yeah.
show.
Wow.
So, anyways, I relate to that.
Yeah.
For real.
Angel of death.
That's
We're all
so
goth.
funny.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Angel of Death for
A little bit of an angel.
Yes.